So why is it so difficult to see Jesus for who he is? The disciples, those closest to him, who will have been with him for 3 years, maybe a bit more, who knows, they still didn't recognise who Jesus was and what his mission was, really, as we'll find out as we journey through Lent, culminating on Good Friday. But Jesus says, for those who want to save their lives will lose them, and those who will lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. We assume that this life is ours to do with as we please, that it belongs to us. But what defines our life? I think for many people it might be money. Now, I haven't got the faintest idea who won the Euro Millions lottery recently on Friday, the grand draw of 180 million, but I know it wasn't me. But is it money that defines our life? Is it possessions? Big house, cars, fancy holidays, 6 cruises in a year? Who knows? I don't know. Is it alcohol? Food? Is it substance abuse of another description? Is it the fact that we pride ourselves on our looks? Is it on our youthfulness? Is it the posh neighbourhood that we might find our house? Is it the prestige of our job, or how well our children are doing in schools and sports and life in general? Don't you just dread those Christmas round robin letters where all you ever hear and read about is either how successful the couple are who send you the letter, or how well their children are doing, having climbed Mount Everest for the 65th time or something like that without oxygen or something, I don't know, or run the mile in about 3 minutes and 2 seconds. But anyway, the way of Christ, the way that Christ preaches, is one of self-denial. He reminds us consistently that our life is not our own, and that it belongs to a supreme power. It belongs to God. It reminds us that we're not in control. God is. Our life is not about us, it is about God. And for some, there's great freedom in knowing this. I know when, towards the end of Maggie's life, I just couldn't believe that I'd done everything that I could do. And I knew I couldn't do anything more. And standing there and sitting there and realising that I had no control whatsoever and about how things would work out, left me in pieces, absolutely in pieces. And it reminded me time and time and time again that I wasn't in control and that I had to trust that God was in control. Was there great freedom in knowing this? Not for me, it wasn't, but for some people there might be freedom in knowing that God is in control. Knowing that God is in control, ultimately, means that we can be fully alive, to live life as it's meant to be lived. Because as long as we believe our life is all about us, we will continue to exercise power over others, as we've seen amply demonstrated by the late and not so great President of the United States of America. Exercising power over others, trying to save ourselves, control our circumstances, until we gradually become the choices we make, where fake news becomes true news and true news becomes fake news. Jesus, however, rarely exercised power over others or tried to control circumstances. He just simply made different choices. Self-denial is not about being out of control or powerless. It's all about the choices that we make. Jesus chose to give in a world that takes, to love in a world that hates, to heal in a world that injures, to give life in a world that kills. His is the example that we all should follow. He offered mercy when others sought vengeance, forgiveness when others condemned, compassion when others were indifferent. He trusted in his Father when others said no. With each choice, he denied himself and showed that God was present, even at the last, even as we find out on Good Friday, my God, why have you forsaken me? He denied himself and showed that God, in that abandonment, was present. At some point, those kind of choices will catch the attention of and offend those who live and profit by power, control, and looking out for number one. Those will not deny themselves. They will respond. Jesus said that they would. He knew that he would be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes. It happens in every age for those who choose the path of self-denial, for those who follow the path of Jesus. Yesterday I was just looking up, I don't know why, I was looking up on Google, but I was looking up martyrs who died in the Reformation, as you do on a Saturday afternoon before the internationals come on, the rugby internationals. And I couldn't believe the number of people who died for their faith, whether Catholic or Protestant, burnt at the stake, burnt at the stake, burnt at the stake, hung, drawn and quartered. Chose the path of self-denial. And most of them were ordinary people, like you and me. But they chose to die for what they believed in. And then more modern people, we have Abraham Lincoln, who was assassinated because of his belief in emancipation. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was involved with the plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler, died for his faith. And of course Martin Luther King, Gandhi and the rest of them. And when it happened for Jesus, he made one last choice. He chose death over survival and ultimately resurrection over death. It's this same Jesus who brings new life to those who are dead as well as to those who are dying. You see, God doesn't care about who your parents were. He doesn't care about how good looking you are, how rich you are, what kind of job you have, your friend status on Facebook, how many followers you might have on Instagram, what kind of car that you drive, how big your house is, how well esteemed you might be, or any other measure of a person's worth that our culture offers instead. Jesus cares about something else. God cares about something else. God, like Jesus, cares about you. And so be open to the truth that God isn't done with any of us yet. Be open to the voice of God speaking from places that you might not expect. Be open to the good news that stretches your capacity to love. In 1974, after nearly 2.5 years of listening to people witness about Jesus Christ and what Christ had done for us on the cross, what we heard in the reading from Romans, I finally became open to the good news. On February the 10th, as it were, I think in 1974, at St. Thomas's Crooks in Sheffield, somebody preached the good news, and I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Saviour, and began a different journey. So God, through Christ, has given us all gifts through which we can participate in the ultimate destiny of the world and the saving of the world through the love of God as part of God's anointing. So the challenge is to lose your life to find it. And I lost my life, my old life, as it were, as I said, in February 1974. But I found a better life. How shall I die in order to live? How shall I lose in order to save? maybe by accepting against all the lies of what culture offers that I will die, and trusting in Jesus' assurance that I will also rise again. And so maybe we need to learn what that foot-in-mouth Peter has to learn. That the way up is down, that the path to victory begins with surrender, that Jesus' version of heroism is steeped in humility. And as McCartney and Lennon wrote, all you need is love. Amen.